guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new entitled people content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled, Neighbor damaged my fence and cut down I planted dozens of trees in his backyard. Neighbor calls the city on my fence and trees despite not having anything wrong with them. He makes up stories and I need to replace the fence 1 inch shorter and my trees are removed. I get revenge when I plant dozens of tree samplings in his backyard that he is not allowed to get rid of. I get away with it and all he has is a suspicion it was me with no actual evidence to back it up. Nobody in the neighborhood believes him when he says I did it and they think it was actually sweet someone planted him trees for free. Hello, you wonderful people of Reddit. Today not only are you going to get to hear about my jerk of a neighbor, but I am going to get to brag about what I did as revenge without anyone knowing it. This is one of those moments that you have to love the anonymity of the internet. Anyway, the main issue is that my neighbor has been looking for a way to come after me for years. I have no idea what I have done exactly to piss this guy off that badly. He just seems bitter and wanting to start fights for no reason. Things came to a climax though when he decided to call the city on my fence claiming that it wasn't regulation. Honestly, I have zero clue what the height of my fence has to do with him because I can unfortunately still see him over it and everything. In my personal preference the fence would be higher to block him out of my view completely. Anyway, the city sent somebody to come and check it out and it turns out that my fence was half an inch above the maximum height allowed. Now before you come into the comments and tell me how if it was too high it was my fault, it's kind of wasn't. The regulations changed a couple years ago, and I honestly had no idea that my fence that was in regulation then now wasn't because I don't keep track of the exact height of my fence. Anyway, even though half an inch seemed like basically nothing to me, it was enough for the city to do something if a complaint was made. Even though I'm pretty sure many people have fences my height that just weren't getting complained about. Neighbor of course decided that he needed to complain about the fence and the city sent me a letter saying that I had 2 weeks to take it down or I would be fined. So, I ended up having to waste a ton of money getting that fence taken down and a new one that was almost identical but about an inch shorter put up while I watched my neighbor give me a dirty smile from his property. This is where a bigger man would have walked away, but I'm not that strong of a man. Especially what my neighbor ended up doing next. It turns out that he had made other complaints without me even knowing about my trees. So, one day I saw men in my backyard taking down my trees. I was livid and honestly could only stand in shock for a while after I asked them why they were taking them down and they didn't have the whole story. It turns out that neighbor claimed my trees were growing dangerously close to the power lines. I get them pruned regularly to make sure that the branches stay away from the lines, but he made up some story about them that the city seemed to believe. I was devastated and decided on my revenge. I looked up the laws in my city and found one that seemed to stick out to me. It said that unless the city deems it a hazard or dead no healthy tree or sapling may be removed from a property. This gave me a wicked idea of how I was going to get back at neighbor. It was clear that he wasn't a tree person, so I was going to kill him with kindness. I went to the nursery and got a ton of tree saplings. I lost count, but it was a ridiculous amount, but not too many that the city could deem them needing to be taken down. Our yards are identical, so I used mine as a guideline for spacing and everything. The saplings ranged from pine, oak, cherry blossom, dogwood, and anything else that they had at the nursery. I spent more money on this than I wish to admit even anonymously online. So, one night when everyone was asleep, I snuck into my neighbor's yard and started planting the saplings. It took several trips across the property lines, but I wasn't seen or heard. I was almost like a tree ninja and couldn't wait to see what his reaction would be in the morning. I couldn't tell how it looked at night, but when the morning came, I woke up extra early to take a final look and make sure everything looked how it should. Even in the dark I did a good job and his yard now had dozens of saplings that would turn into beautiful trees. Just to make a quick disclaimer, he had a good amount of land back there so when the trees grew it wouldn't be like a forest or anything. I made sure that even when they were fully grown it would be aesthetically pleasing. I may love revenge, but I'm not a monster who wants to give him an ugly backyard. When he saw it, his reaction was priceless, and he saw me looking at him and ran up to me. He started saying how he knew I was responsible and that he was going to take me to court and sue me. I looked at him confused and said that I had no idea what he was talking about and that I thought the changes he made to his yard were beautiful. I knew that he had no way to prove that I was the one to plant them. He also knew that if he tried to remove and destroy the saplings, I was going to go right to the city and say what he did. Then he would have received a fine of his own, and that would be per tree. So, he was really stuck with nothing else to do but complain to the other people in the neighborhood. The kicker was that none of them believed him that it was me because I don't seem the type. Some are even saying that they wish someone would sneak into their yard at night and give them free landscaping. I totally got away with it and honestly couldn't believe that he didn't even attempt and fail to sue me or anything. Instead, he is now responsible for those trees, and I can't wait to sit and watch over my fence for as long as I live here to see those trees grow and prosper. I know that with how slow trees grow I will never see his yard fully grown, but I know someone will, and I can only hope they appreciate it as much as I do. Plus, if he tries to move, selling the house might become a bit of a headache, but that's just a bonus when it comes to revenge. The next story is titled, "My Neighbors Let Their Children Scream Like They Are Being Murdered. My service dog doesn't like it and will bark 3 short alert barks at them, which caused the mother to finally react to the noise. And honestly, I didn't stop him. It scares the kids a little to hear the dog barking 3 short alert barks like he would if I was having a seizure, but they finally stop screaming once they hear it. These kids will literally scream high pitch like they are having their limbs sawed off. So yeah, when I hear this and my dog hears this, he starts to get visibly concerned. He thinks tiny humans are hurt, and I think genuinely wants to make sure they are okay. I let him out, he runs to the shared fence, does a few barks till the kids stop screaming, then he stops and lays down next to the fence. In my opinion, my dog does a better job at moderating the kids than their own mother does. Anyways, this happened again this morning. I don't mind kids playing. To preface this, these kids are literally screaming at the top of their lungs, playing like they are hurt dramatically. They started up this morning, my dog does his thing, the kids stop, and I hear one start to cry. Their mom comes over to my house furious. I answer the door politely and ask what's the problem. She says my dog scared her kids, and I responded with, well, he was concerned. Your children were screaming extremely loud, and it sounded like they were hurt. They scream quite often, in fact. She gets angrier and basically says they are kids being kids. I say, no ma'am, I am a kindergarten teacher and a mother myself. Your kids are being excessively loud to the point where it's concerning the neighbors with their screaming. This level of screaming is indeed not normal for children, but rather just a behavior you allowed. She got super angry and said they weren't screaming that loud, to which I responded, I can show you my porch ring if you'd like. You can't see your yard, but you can definitely hear the noises your children make. She then threatened to have my dog taken away. He is a seizure alert dog trained by the police academy near here, and I have his actions directly on tape. He simply did 3 short barks, kind of like stop but then laid down. Not a threat at all. I told her she could try, but also maybe work on her kids not sounding like they are in a Saw film. She left angrier than she arrived. I went ahead and made a call to the local /police dog trainer to let them know in case this lady makes a false claim against my dog. Thank God for ring cameras set up everywhere so my husband can monitor my seizures, because I can validate my dog's whereabouts at any time. The last story is titled, "Is This Legal? Sorry, this is so long." Turning to Reddit because I and neighbors really need some insight. I moved into my community 5 years ago, Arizona, and we were actually very pleased with our HOA. About 2 years ago, the HOA board decided to switch management company, and it was the worst decision ever. They hired crappy landscaping companies, we had water leaks in our grassy areas, community was dirty, etc. So, we decided to get involved and started participating to the meetings, offered help, and more. Turns out one of the HOA board members, we'll call her Lisa, is also an employee of the management company, therefore approves expenses that are submitted by them. I guess they need 3 votes out of 5, she's always one of 3. To me, this is a huge conflict of interest, and I don't know if it's legal, but this is not even the worst part. Our community started getting worse and worse, it literally looks like a dump, they haven't serviced it in over 9 months, all while collecting our money. Given that there are houses in the $600K range here, the homeowners, rightfully so, got together and complained. So, we usually vote by mail, but one of the more reasonable HOA board member, who is suspecting fraud, and wants Lisa off the board, suggested that people show up in person to vote so that the votes are counted fairly. Homeowners showed up and voted in person. 2 new board members got voted in, Lisa and another member got voted out. Everyone was happy and the new people got announced by the management company. This is where it turned sour. As soon as the new board members mentioned wanting to switch management company, hire new landscaping and so on, the old management company announced that the elections were rigged because homeowners were influenced to vote in person, so the vote was not valid, and that therefore the new people who are elected are not in charge. They keep having meetings with the old members and refuse to acknowledge the new ones. The new board hired a lawyer, who contacted the old management company asking to give up the accounts and the funds. They won't. They're ignoring all the letters, all the meetings the new board has, and have private meetings with the old people, yes, Lisa too. The new board started a petition to have them removed and they need 100 signatures. Lisa goes to our mailbox every night to rip the petition sign off. Meanwhile, the management company decided to raise their fee by 5 times. They didn't raise our payment, they're just cashing in thousands of dollars for fees. I would really appreciate literally any insight or ideas, whether it's legal or just opinions. This is getting so stressful it's making me want to sell the house. Thanks, if you made it this far. Edited to add. Lisa isn't actually going into our mailboxes. She's ripping the petition sign that's posted on a board next to our mailbox. Should have specified. The new board members can't hire another management company because the old one is holding on to the funds and accounts, therefore still collecting our money. Edit 3. To those suggesting that we stop paying our monthly fee. I personally did as soon as they were terminated and so did other homeowners. Well, we received statements saying we were past due on our accounts and that the penalty would be a lien on our house on top of collection fees, late payment charges, etc. Using this edit to also say that the new board did hire a lawyer. This is just me trying to learn about other similar experiences and explore all possible options. Update. Taking community management to court. Last time I did not mention that there is another member of the old board who was voted out. I'll call him Rob, who has been in charge for 10+ years. It is my belief that he used our community money for personal use on many different occasions. For example, he said that he purchased some chairs for our parties and meetings that he keeps in a storage unit. No one has ever seen these chairs as we hold our meetings at the community park that has tables and benches already. Funny enough, he recently suggested that we bring our own chair next time. Each time we asked the management company to provide proof of payment or invoices for more reckless expenditures, $17,000 in landscaping extras, they never did. They usually take $1,500 monthly as their fee. In May, they took $9,000. When the new board asked why they charged $9,000, they replied by saying that that's the termination fee. Except they then refused to be terminated, didn't give up the accounts, our keys, etc. But still took the money. I left off saying that the new HOA board members, one especially, I'll call her Bridget, started a petition where 100 signatures needed to be collected in order to call a special meeting and get the self-claimed board members forcibly removed. I guess there is an HOA policy where if some HOA board members don't agree with the election results, this meeting is necessary to have them removed. Despite Lisa going to the mailbox every night, sometimes twice a day, to remove our petition signs, we managed to collect the 100 signatures and will have the meeting next week. Bridget, who hired a lawyer, also filed a complaint with our state superior court. I later found that this community management company already had 17 civil lawsuits filed against them by other communities. Ours is the 18th. My thoughts. I think Rob and Lisa are in on this, and personally benefited from taking our money for 10+ years. I believe the management company does not want to give up the accounts because it would expose their fraud. Does anyone know how long these lawsuits take? I hope to be back with one final update soon. This all started as a rant, but I think that people should know about all the little ways these HOA people use to scam entire communities of people who maybe are too busy to even question them. Final update. I'm here with good news. After collecting 100 signatures, we were supposed to hold one final meeting to have the old board members voted out. And the homeowners showed up. We were able to re-vote the old members out and they were banned from running again for at least 5 years. All the keys and accounts were given to the new board and a new management plus landscaping company were hired. There is an ongoing lawsuit where the old management company is being sued for all kinds of things and being asked to pay for the landscaping damage they caused by withholding the funds and keys to the water. I'm not sure how long this will take, but the fact that we have new people in charge after so many years is a win. The community already looks so much better. My main takeaway is I used to be one of those who's got time for that people. But these HOA people literally count on homeowners to be busy with work/family life to take advantage of them. My old HOA board got away with it for 10+ years. If you think something fishy is going on, get involved.